Hello and welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for a new episode of A New Go of New Home Sales. I'm your host, Anya Chrysanthon, and joining me today is Chris Laskowski. Chris is the marketing director with New Home Star. So, welcome to the show, Chris. I am so very excited to have you on today.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's an interesting time to do a marketing focused podcast episodes. This is going to be a good one for sure.
So, before we jump into the marketing focus, which specifically we're going to be spending a lot of time talking about HubSpot today, let's hear your story. So, my listeners always love to know what's your background? How did you get into new home sales arena? And what is it that you do now? Tell us about New Home Star as well, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So, actually got a degree in finance and statistics and decided that marketing was the way to go. And I started with New Home Star almost 13 years ago. It was this small company in the back of a coffee shop with a shared bathroom. We built our own desks, maybe 20 employees, and it grew very quickly. Now we have over 500 employees at the company. We've got multiple divisions, and that exciting journey has just been really cool to experience because you get to be involved in so many different aspects from the startup stages all the way to a more mature setting for an organization. And then just recently got my master's from Northwestern in integrated marketing communication. Super pumped about bringing in some of the latest and greatest when it comes to marketing, and especially now in this shift. Originally, actually was born and raised in Poland and Germany and came here when I was 10. So all of this kind of tied together after that. And now we've got a marketing division that's about 40 team members. We offer a variety of services, everything from web development all the way to CRM implementations. And we're looking to really focus and zero in on the AI aspect of marketing. It's an interesting journey, and we're really excited about what's to come.
That's great. And for those of you who don't know New Home Star Services, you guys are actually, is it the largest seller of private homes, right? Is that or am I completely off
Yeah.
the charts
The
here?
nation's largest private seller of new homes. We work with about 80 builders across 28 different markets. Between those 500 employees, we offer services with consulting, sales training, full outsource from a sales perspective, online sales. We've got our marketing agency, and we've got a good arm when it comes to training and content development. So all of these services are offered in an unbundled way. So with New Home Star, you could really connect on any of the pains and issues that you might have. We have a solution that's unbundled. Our approach to working with builders is to really identify what are the items that are causing friction for the goals that you're trying to go after, and then provide a custom tailored solution for that particular builder partner that might involve two or three or four of our teams working together to help you guys accomplish that.
So in short, if you guys are new home sales and marketing, New Home Star probably has a solution for you, right? That's safe
Absolutely.
to assume.
Yeah.
So, Chris, I know that you guys are big fans of HubSpot at New Home Star. And so, I guess talk to me a little bit about that. I know a lot of people are talking now about switching CRMs. Do we go with industry specific CRM? Do we not go with industry CRM? HubSpot always comes up for sure. So, how has this platform really changed your approach to marketing since you've implemented this?
Yeah, I think it really starts with the new age that we're entering, and that is the age of AI and automation. And one of the things that not just what we're seeing, but what all the major players out there, whether it's Google, whether it's any of the Fortune 500 companies, everyone understands the power of AI. How to leverage it is to align and streamline your entire tech stack. So you have one data warehouse and your data is not siloed between different spaces. It's all in one spot. That's why we love HubSpot so much because it is a integration king. Really, all the data that you could think of, whether it's calls, text messages, emails, your reporting, your paid campaigns, your everything from sales to marketing, from on-site sales to online sales to your warranty department to your service department, All of those places are now in a unified tech stack that still connects to some of the important platforms like CallRail or any of your texting platforms. So that's why we absolutely love CallRail because it unifies your tech stack and allows you to build a data warehouse that then is AI compatible, and you're going to get so much use, whether it's analysis, whether it's being able to predict, put together reporting, identify gaps. And we could definitely talk a little bit about agents, but all of those capabilities become possible when you have all of your data in one place. And that's what HubSpot does.
It is so important to keep your data together. So for sure, you do need that central spot. So you were recently at their very famous conference called Inbound. So talk to me about some of the biggest themes or takeaways from that conference that really stood out to you this year.
Yeah, I think there's really three features that were the cornerstone of the entire conference. The first one were AI agents. And these are going to be more of a commonplace. Essentially, an AI agent is a series of steps, sometimes using large language models to do one of these steps, but it is essentially a series of steps that then could work together with other agents and to help automate some of the redundant, non-strategic work and tasks that your team members can have. So they've introduced AI agents and also introduced a marketplace. So people, organizations, they can create these agents, and those agents then can be downloaded in their marketplace. And any company that has a HubSpot data system is able to really leverage that, whether it's building their own from scratch or leveraging the marketplace. Now, AI agents, to me, when I first found out what they were and how they work, it seemed like a very scary term. It is absolute. If you know how to use ChatGPT with a prompt, which is extremely basic, how to build an AI agent. This is definitely where I see one of the trends for the industry going is more and more AI agents being incorporated in roles. The second piece that they unveiled was the new hub for data. And some of the features, number one, just organizing your data, bringing in external sources. So right now, things are siloed. And by the way, even if you have HubSpot, you're still going to have some of your data in an ERP. You're still going to have some of your data in a spreadsheet. You're still going to have some of your data in other systems that are very unique and maybe industry specific and might not have a native integration into HubSpot. Those walls, those barriers got broken down with Data Hub. So you're able to connect unique data. You're able to connect data from other places and then use it in your reporting, use it in your automations, use it in your personalizations. And so that's one of the cool, I think one of the coolest features, including what my favorite in that whole data hub is the dynamic properties. So what that means is that traditionally we've had properties of what is your buying timeline? And someone selects or the customer selects 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, whatever they select, right? And it's a very simple drop down and select property. Now you can use AI to estimate that property. You could use AI to understand who your target consumer segment is and saying, hey, look at all the transcripts inside of this contact record, look at all of the call records, look at the emails, look at the form completions, look at the ad interactions, and then estimate what is the best profile, which kind of then goes into the final point is that now with that data hub and agents, I think personalization is no longer going to be one to many or one to few rather. I guess one to many was the traditional, hey, we're going to have one ad for everyone. And HubSpot and other CRMs got a lot better with doing one to few. So you've got segmentation, you've got some personalization. Maybe that segmentation might be by community, might be by a certain profile. Now, the era that we're coming into is one-to-one personalization, literally writing down an email that's customized to that particular individual, writing a text message, writing a postcard that augments the image that even with page views, personalizing the website to one-on-one interactions. That's the new wave that all of these things are now making possible. So that was a lot. And I've never been more excited about what's coming up especially for marketers or even sales professionals than right now. And especially if you've got HubSpot, you're already a few steps further than maybe some competition that might not have it.
Absolutely. Personalization is something we've been preaching about at Inugo for a long time. So I'm glad that the technology is finally catching up with one-to-one personalization. You're so right. With all the interactive tools, everything you have on your website, it's all designed to help you increase that personalization. And with AI now, they're able to do it really at scale and match you to that unique house with the red door, with the blue shutters, whatever you're looking for, as long as you have the data on your website available to make that match. Obviously, home building is such a personalized journey to begin with, especially right if you're building a home from scratch. So I'm sure there's so many lessons that really resonate with you when you're talking about these takeaways specifically for home building. So was there any aha moment for you that you're like, oh my God, this would be amazing for this process on home building?
Yeah, I think the first aha moment has been just the transformation of your marketing, which is the big trend that I saw inbound. One, so this is an example. I want to just give you an example of an AI agent, maybe a semi-complex one. You go to a website and you fill out, and this is maybe more for a B2B example here, but it goes hand in hand with any marketing example. You go in to a website, you fill out a form, and in that form, the only thing that you provide is your email. 5 minutes later, there are five different steps that have occurred, and you have an email with a video that is from the company's CEO that's personalized to you and your company. The entire script, the message, the introductions, everything, as well as a set of guides and tactical strategies that you could deploy right now. All of that happens in 5 minutes. And how they do it is essentially they go and scrape your LinkedIn based on your email. They find out exactly what type of position you have. Then they scrape the company's page. They find out what the company does. Then they put together a script, right? Run it through a video generation platform, shoot it off in an email. And then that's the full kind of circle here. When I saw that live in action, or even other examples, my mind is this technology is not in the near future. It is right now. And some builders are going to take full advantage of it and will be at the forefront of it. And then there's others, they're going to be late adopters. They're going to miss a huge opportunity. So that was something that really made it real for me at that moment. Like personalization is no longer a nice to have. It is going to differentiate you and your marketing and your effectiveness of marketing right now. This is the moment to do it right now. The other aha moment was just how brutal organic search has been for builders. Like no longer, like I think the HubSpot said that they lost 90% of their blog traffic in 1 year. And then you look at other stats, and I hear it all the time from builders. Hey, we lost half of our organic search literally in 12 months. And when you look at search, organic and paid search, that is the breadbasket of leads for every builder. That is the most important lead source for any builder. It always has been for the last 15 years since Google came about and the early SEO work was done. All of a sudden, organic dropping, paid increasing. And so there is a loss of leads, and that was intensified with some of the conversations that we had at Inbound as to what is that, what is the reason for that? And obviously, everyone knows you're no longer using Google to search. You're using ChatGPT. You're using Grok. You're using Perplexity. You're using Gemini. You're using all of these LLMs to do deep questions. You're not searching for what are builders in this area. You are searching for what are the builders, what are they known for, and it's a series of questions. And that interaction is much richer. And all of a sudden, everyone has moved from search, the traditional search, to AEO. And so that's the biggest aha moment is that you need to have good strategies. You need that personalization. And then you also need to fill in the gap that's happening and hurting builders all across the country right now when traffic is down, when the market is tougher, and that just gets compounded. And builders feel it in their final numbers in their reporting and sales, traffic, and their appointments.
Absolutely. We work with so many builders across the country, and we keep seeing the same thing as well on our end. The visitors are dropping off, and exactly what you're saying. It's not that they're necessarily dropping off, it's that they're going to your website maybe less, right? Because they're already having those full-on conversations with their own AI agent, and they've done that sorting out earlier in the funnel. So now when they come to your website, finally, they will be much more ready to move forward. They'll be much more further in that funnel. If there's even a funnel anymore, that's debatable, but where they're going to be is going to be much further along than first landing on your website. And it's, oh, hey, look at what we have here. But the question is, are they going to end up on your website? That is something that I urge all of the builders to think about right now, because if you're not going to show up in ChatGPT and AI results, you're not going to be part of that conversation. So the problem with that is that not many people are going to go back and say, I wonder if ChatGPT was right by recommending this Joe Schmo builder to me with this community. I should go back and Google the results. Nobody's going to do that. We're getting used to trusting ChatGPT results, and as it's improving, as it's getting smarter and smarter by day, right? And you think about it, it's only been around for 3 years. It's just crazy, and how much we learn to trust it, right? Not many people double check the answers. So as we learn to rely on ChatGPT for answers, that's going to be the Bible, right? That's if the results showed up, that's great. That's what we're going to end up with. Consumer, it's all about easy. So if you're not showing up in those results, that's definitely going to be an issue. So as a homework, not right now, guys, but later tonight, I want you to all go to all the different AI searches, right? Like Perplexity, ChatGPT, like all of them, and search, have the same conversation that your potential customer would, and see if your builder, if your communities are coming up, because if they're not, that's going to be a major issue.
Yeah. If I could just add one
Yeah,
thing to
of
that,
course.
I can't stress enough. I think that AI search is the biggest return on investment channel for builders right now. There's nothing else that even comes close. And the reason why that is that it is extremely easy to manipulate and set it up in your favor. And if you're not doing it, someone else will. And the big trend, so an example that we're implementing for some of our builder partners is one, treating the website more like a data warehouse. And if you're wondering like how deep do you need to go to actually have a data warehouse of a website. Like the function of a website has traditionally always been essentially your online model home. But I think the more important function that's becoming apparent as you're losing your traffic to your website is that people are spending and doing their research and doing their consideration, like you mentioned, in these LLMs. And they're not just asking the surface level questions. So your website essentially first, number one, almost every page on your website should have an FAQ
Yeah.
about us, community, floor plans. And if you're trying to wrap around about the size and magnitude of these FAQs, this is not a list of 100. This is not a list of a 500. This is not a list of 1,000. As a standard, what we're implementing is a 3,000 FAQ minimum for builder partners. And it doesn't just span and talks about your products, your communities, your floor plans, your company. It also talks about your competition and how you're different and where are you winning? Why is it not apples to apples? And it's more of a, you can't just look at the price. There's a huge difference in the product quality and the community location and so on. Talking about your competition, talking about like literally everything that you think someone can ask about your offering, home buying process, or your competition. You should be writing that narrative because if you don't, they will.
Yes, absolutely. And the reason why Chris is bringing up FAQs is because it has to be easy for machine to understand it and to learn it. And so the FAQ format is perfect for machine to read that information, comprehend it, and then being able to spit it out in an answer format. So excellent tip there for sure. FAQ is where it's at right now. Another great thing you want to implement, and that's like the struggle, I think, for builders right now, is how much data can you put into your website that it attracts the right buyer and they're able to pull out all that information in. So it's attractive to the machine for the answers, but also it has to be attractive to the human eyes when they finally come to your website. So your website, you almost want to think about it as the front of your website and then the back end of your website. So the back end of your website is where you're able to place a lot of that information without overcrowding the front, right? Because it still has to be aesthetically pleasing. But the back end is super important. It's probably more important than the front end because if they don't see the back end and they're not able to pull that information, they're not even going to come to your website. So it's not going to matter for the human eyes. So that's something to keep in mind using schema markup. And then even for your content on the website. So, Chris, you're making an excellent point, like with FAQs. If you've done a great job content marketing throughout the years, if you have implemented those strategies, like you should be pretty set right now. So, those same strategies apply to this. But you also want to think about everything that's not written on your website, things like floor plans, virtual tours, all of that information has to be not only digestible to the human eyes, but also to the machine. So when you're working with a company and they're supplying things like that to you, you just want to ask, is it data tagged? Can can AI understand this? Can AI read this? So it has to be produced in a format that AI can comprehend because if I'm asking for a 3,000 square foot home at a price of $500,000, guess what? If your pricing is not on the website, you're probably going to be eliminated because it's going to see, is it 500K above or below? No pricing. Oh, moving on to the next guy. Same thing with square footage. So think about your floor plans. If you have your floor plans and they're marked up, they're data tagged with all the measurements, it can very easily read those measurements and calculate those measurements to say, oh, yes, you know what? The main level is 1,600 square feet, upper level 1,400 square feet. So you want to make sure that all of those elements are available and that machines are able to understand that. So I think that we're going to have a huge challenge over the next few years is that how do we appeal to both the machine and the human eyes? Thoughts on
Agreed.
that?
No, I completely agree with everything that you've mentioned. Your markup, it's still a lot of, like you said, it's still a lot of the same strategies. If you were good
Yeah.
at SEO, it does carry over directly into AI search. So all your markups, how you do headings, all that fun stuff, it's slightly different. The biggest needle that we've seen for getting into AI search is to framing things the same way that people are framing them into AI search. So the way that you have a query inside of Google is completely different than you query inside of an LLM. So just think about that audience, think about what they're doing, and then you're absolutely right. Make sure you no longer we're no longer gatekeepers of information. Like that is
Yes.
no longer the age that we're in. And so having everything available, you could still have your back pocket incentives and all that fun stuff to close the deal, but the offering and who you are, what you do, how you do it. Like all of that information should be available in your website. And do prioritize it, just like you mentioned, that it shouldn't be maybe a whole list of FAQs on the top of the About Us page.
Right.
There's strategic locations that can be used.
For sure. So, Chris, you guys work with home builders to help them implement HubSpot and set up all the different workflows. So, can you talk to me more about that offering and how do you really support builders you work with when it comes to HubSpot?
Yeah. So every single builder portal that we build out in HubSpot is about a 3-month build, and there's 12 workshops that we do. So in the first month, we talk a lot about your product, your strategy, what kind of customization we need to build, what is your sales process, because every builder has a different approach to how they operate, what has made them successful. And we want to bring in that nuance into the final build. But at the same time, there are core tenets of the setup that we've tested out that work over and over. And as an example, having a referral form that once completed, not only registers that form for the person who referred it, but also creates a brand new contact, associates it. There are things that we've built over the years that come standard with our build. So first 4 weeks is all about strategy. The next 4 weeks is all about automation and how we bring that to life. And then the final 4 weeks is dashboards and training and making sure that your team uses it effectively. So in 12 weeks from start to finish, you could expect a fully built out portal that uses some of the best practices that we've learned over the years. We touch every aspect of it. So if you want to not just do sales and marketing, but backlog management with Service Hub or warranty claims, or even doing deposits on homes with Commerce Hub, we've got experience across it all. And so if you're looking for HubSpot and you're just unsure about what that could look like for you and want to see examples, please reach out and we'll set up a demo, show you guys what other builders are doing, and then we could go from there.
That's perfect. So, Chris, as we're starting to wrap up our conversation today, I feel like you and I could stay on here for next 2 hours and talk about it. I probably know what your answers are going to be, but give me three things that you would prioritize right now. If you were the marketing team for a home builder right now for the next 1 to 3 years, what are the three things you're prioritizing?
Yeah, the first thing is to streamline your tech stack. You need to get all of your data in one place. And when all of your data, let's just break it down into different categories. Number one is going to be all of your marketing data. So all of your ads, all of your emails, all of your social content, all of your pages, all of that are customer touch points that should be centralized and tracked within one system. The second piece is the sales side of things. So if you don't have all of your calls recorded, if you don't have all of your emails from your sales team being inputted into one system, if you don't have text messaging incorporated into your sales efforts, and that's not all coming together into one system, like you need to bring all of that marketing, sales, and customer service data all in one place. And we're talking about the rich pieces too, like being able to understand what are current customer objections by reading all of your email inboxes, there's some nuance to it that you're going to be able to pull out. So, number one, streamline your tech stack. All of your tech stack should be centralized in one CRM. And HubSpot's not the only one that's great at doing it. There are other solutions. Salesforce does a great job. There are other platforms, Marketo, that have a way of doing it, but you've got to have one system that you build your entire tech stack around. So that's the first step, first thing that I would recommend. The second piece that I would recommend is to really make sure that your channels of marketing are aligning to your highest return on investment. So that marketing channel mix has changed. It has changed. It's been changing nonstop, I feel like, for the last 20 years. In the early 2000s, we had SEO being the major highest return on investment. Then shortly thereafter, it was social media and then other channels with influencer marketing. And so now we're coming again to a massive change in what is effective. If you have the data, if you've streamlined your data into one place, and every builder is going to be different. So different price points will have better channel strategies, different areas, the different type of consumers. What works for you is not going to be what works for everyone else. So having that data to understand your channel mix and your performance is a second step that I would go. Make sure you've got lead source reporting. Make sure that you've got understanding into really all the nuances and details of your marketing strategy in reporting and are able to make data-driven marketing changes to how you approach things. And then the last thing that I would do, and this is universal for any position, anyone, is to really engage and embrace the power of AI. And what the starting point is just go into chat, and I'm sure everyone on this call is using Chat GPT, but maybe the next layer after that is using projects into Chat GPT. Maybe the next layer after that is using AI agents and building a multi-step agent. So really working on yourself to really upgrade your capabilities because the main difference between now and 5 years from now inside of the workforce are going to be the people that know how to leverage this technology and people that don't. And you want to be in that group because then the opportunities become much more apparent for you. Like every company, like I'm sure if you haven't seen some of the new interview playbooks, it is how much experience do you have in AI? That's what they're recruiting, and you don't want to be left behind.
100%. Such great tips. Thank you so much, Chris. And you guys, in your chat GPT, you may have even seen AI mode already pop up. I know mine popped up about 2 months ago. So check for AI mode. That is something that you'll see. Comet is a brand new AI browser now that's using AI agents. So I think there's a wait list to sign up for that. But one of the cool things you'll see when you start using AI agents is you're going to see exactly what it's doing. So if you give it a task, for example, book me a vacation in the south of France next summer, this is my price range, right? You're going to see exactly what it's doing. It's fascinating to see because it shows you what it's opening, where it's looking, what it's comparing. It's really, I think it actually helps you probably with getting that behind the scenes idea of what is it looking for, where is it going to check for this information, how can I improve my marketing to be showing up there. The thing with SEO is that you could buy your position in a pretty quick amount of time if you had the money. It's not like that with AIO. You can't just throw money at it necessarily. You have to have content available for it to pull it in. So I think that's going to be next thing we want to look at is AI agent conversations, right? Like we're going into these AI browsers now. And then another thing with CRMs too is you want to look for what's going to be able to capture those interactions, right? Because again, it's no longer 3 bedroom, 500K near Boston. It has to be able to capture full-on conversations that your potential buyers are having with these AI chats. And is it going to be visible to your end? Or is your own agent going to pick it up on the other end to have your agent talk to my agent, right? Like, and at the end, we come together and say, yeah, you guys did a great job. Let me sign on the dotted line. But I think that's where we're going. So I like how you break down all the things we need right now with tech stack for sure, unifying your data, absolutely. So all of that is going to be necessary in order for you to do AI as we're getting into the next phase of it. Chris, would you recommend for people to attend next year's Inbound? It sounds like it was definitely money and time spent.
Yeah, and for anyone thinking about all of this innovation, all of this change, especially if you have a HubSpot, I highly recommend that you go to Inbound. You're not just listening from some of the leading tech integrators into HubSpot like CallRail or Sales Message or whatever other platform, and they're really at the cutting edge of what is possible. You're not just hearing from them, you're not just hearing from HubSpot, but you're hearing from other industry professionals that are in a very advanced industries, and there's plenty of networking opportunities for you to build those connections. So I'd say Inbound, and I've been to a few different shows out there. This one is really about tech and AI. And if that is a passion that you have to want to grow and expand, I highly recommend that you check that out. Tickets are a lot cheaper if you book them with early bird special with bird pricing. So I think it's like only a few more months that tier is available. So I highly recommend book it. It's going to be in Boston. It's going to be in September. And if you're coming, I look forward to seeing you there.
That's awesome. Well, Chris, before I let you go, can you tell us where can our listeners find out more about New Home Star services, everything that you guys do, as well as if somebody wants to connect personally with you, where do you hang out on social media? Is it email? What's the best way?
Yeah, so if you want to find out a little bit more about New Homestar and what we do, check out newhomestar.com. It really breaks it down, our whole ecosystem of services, everything from consulting all the way to full marketing partnerships. In terms of connecting with me, or if you had or heard anything on this podcast that kind of interested and piqued some thoughts in your mind, but you wanted to follow up on any of those items, get clarity on any of those, I'm absolutely reach out to me. You could find me on LinkedIn. Just search for Chris Liskowski out of New Home Star. And I look forward to answering any other questions that you might have on anything that we covered today.
And I will be sure to link all that information in the show notes so you guys can easily connect with New Home Store as well as Chris personally. So, Chris, thank you so much for being on today's show. I really appreciate you sharing the message. It's nice to hear the same message back from somebody else in the industry. So I feel like at Inugo, we've been preaching this message for a while, and it's nice to see that others outside of our industry are on the same page with us, that this is not some crazy la la dream, and this is actually happening, and it's happening much faster than anybody had anticipated. So thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. It was very enlightening. I'm sure our listeners will enjoy listening to this. So thank you, and I will talk to you very soon.
Yeah, thank you for having me.